off an overtime thrilling NHL Stanley Cup Finals Game 1. Can Game 1 of the Pacers-Thunder Finals bring the excitement and strong ratings in the NBA? NBA reporter Jared Greenberg joins us to weigh in. Plus, breaking news, the White Sox have a new long-term ownership agreement. Hello and welcome into Front Office Sports Today from our FOS studio. I'm Renee Washington.
And I'm Baker Machado. Thanks so much for joining us. Of course, Renee and I are chatting the biggest stories every weekday in the business and culture of sports. And also coming up later on the show, soccer commentator Susannah Collins is going to share her thoughts on TSD 2025. And of course, the Club World Cup happening here in the next week or so. But let's first dive into some of the headlines in the shoot-around.
Breaking news out of Major League Baseball. The White Sox announced they reached a long-term agreement with billionaire investor Justin Ishbia. And Jerry Reinsdorf has owned the franchise since 1981, and the Reinsdorf family will continue to own the controlling interest and day-to-day operations, Baker. Now, this agreement also shares from 2029 to 2023, Reinsdorf will have the option to sell the controlling interest to Ishbia, but after the 2034 season, Ishbia has the option to acquire the controlling interest.
Yeah, so of course, Jerry Reinsdorf, who has been holding this company, you mentioned since 1981, will still remain the chairman of the company. He also, from all intents and purposes, will keep the Bulls, which we should know have a $5 billion valuation. The valuation right now for the White Sox is about $2 billion. But now this allows Matt, his brother Justin, who you mentioned owned the Phoenix Suns, to now, and their dad, by the way, to now be significant investors in the team. This is not going to happen until 2029. You said at the earliest, maybe another 10 years before this actually happens. But we're now starting to see some new movement when it comes to ownership of the White Sox.
This, of course, all comes off of the 121-loss season that the White Sox had as the losingest or worst MLB team in the modern
until
era.
The Rockies do it this
Until
year.
the Rockies. Well, if you were shocked by the retirement of New Orleans' 34-year-old quarterback Derek Carr, you'll also be shocked to find out why he retired in March. The four-time Pro Bowler was set to have shoulder surgery that would have him miss his entire upcoming season, and he told our FOS reporter David Rumsey he didn't want to sit on the sidelines and take the Saints' money, but he also did not want to rush back and be less than 100%. Now, it was $30 million of guaranteed money that the Saints were going to pay him that he was planning on getting in 2025 and the final 2 seasons remaining of his contract. But Carr said, Baker, it was never about money, and now, as he stepped away, he's just enjoying time with his family, especially his 2 kids, and feels happy with stepping away at this time.
I mean, would you feel happy walking away from $30 million? I don't know. But yeah, you're right. He said he felt bad for the organization taking the money if he wasn't going to be able to contribute. We should note he is going to take that $10 million roster bonus that he did get in March. The big question, does he ever come back? He actually told David Rumsey that he actually is enjoying retirement and maybe his next career will be in the media, maybe with his brother at NFL Network. So
yeah, very interesting. Well, Coco Guaff has stamped her ticket to her second French Open final, facing world number 1 Sabalenka Saturday. And this week, Coco became the youngest player to get 25 Roland Garros wins since Martina Hingis did it back in 2000, and is now trying to become the first American, male or female, to win a French Open singles title in more than a decade. And the pressure's on for the 21-year-old because last to do it, Serena Williams in 2015, and this is the longest gap amongst the 4 Grand Slams.
By the way, the longest for men, even longer, 26 years, Andre Agassi, 1999 was the last time a man won the French Open. But she has to get past Sabalenka. She's beaten her before. She beat her in the 2023 US Open. She also beat her at the WTA Finals last year in Saudi Arabia. So this is going to be an amazing matchup. And then also when you look at the future of tennis for the United States, it's very exciting because you look at 8 Americans, 5 women, 3 men made the round of 16 at the French Open this year. That is the best for Americans in 40 years.
Well, the Celtics NBA championship over the Mavs last year led to the lowest watched NBA final since 2021. How will the Thunder Pacers championship unfold? Let's get into that in our main event. We now welcome in NBA reporter for TNT, Jared Greenberg, to discuss it more. Jared, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Renee, Baker, great to be on with both of you. I love what you guys are putting out every day.
Thank you so much. Let's jump right in because NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has shared he's not concerned about this NBA Finals matchup of 2 smaller markets. We know NBA playoff ratings are up 3%. That Eastern Conference Final Game 6 was the highest most watched game across the postseason so far. And Jared, it is 2 teams though looking for their first NBA championship in this iteration. We had 3 ABA championships for the Pacers, 1 for Seattle before they were OKC. What are your thoughts on this new era of greatness, youth, and even the NBA parity with no clear favorites or dynasties?
Well, first of all, I'm fascinated how fans are talking about ratings. Like it boggles my mind that fans care about this. They care about the advertising dollars that come in. Listen, the NBA just signed a new 11-year media deal with 3 partners. The NBA financially is fine for a very long time, whether a lot of people or no one watches this NBA Finals. But I'm telling you, you're going to miss out if you don't watch this NBA Finals, because I think it's a fantastic matchup. I think the whole market size thing means nothing anymore in sports, because no matter where you live, you can watch any and every game. And listen, I'm a fan of greatness. I would prefer dynasties over parity, but dynasties have to start somewhere. We did not predict in 2015 that the Warriors would eventually win 4 championships. This could be the beginning of something very special for one of these 2 teams. I think obviously most of us believe more likely for Oklahoma City because of how young and talented they are. And in this era of salary cap ramifications, the Thunder are set up as well as any team to not just win now, but for a long time.
Yeah, let's go into that a little bit more, because yes, Shea got the MVP, but really Oklahoma City's real MVP is their general manager, Sam Presti. To your point about roster construction, I mean, this is NBA Finals. Both of these teams have on the lower end of the payroll spectrum compared to the Bostons and the Denvers and all these other teams. You mentioned Golden State. Is this the future of how NBA rosters are going to be constructed, like Indiana and OKC?
Well, this is going to come to a head eventually, right? Because Sam Presti has done something that most general managers can't do. He's hit out of the park with every draft pick and every signing and every trade, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was in the Paul George trade and then signed Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. But everybody else, organic, was drafted, and he's done such a great job. Eventually, he's going to have to make some deals, whether that's this upcoming summer or during next season, because these guys are so good, they're all going to get paid. But yes, Baker, no question, you have to make sure that you hit it out of the park with your drafting, because of how punitive it is to have multiple guys older, 10 years into the league and have to try and pay them. Because once you have those type of players on your team, then you can't go out and make the type of trades that you want to make. Teams like Phoenix and Golden State are finding that out this summer.
Yeah, and of course, OKC is the favorite, coming in with the second best net rating in NBA history behind the 72-win Bulls of 95-96. Well, Jared, also this past weekend was a sad day for you guys at TNT. Inside the NBA signed off for the final time with that Game 6 Eastern Conference Final, and you're going to be hosting the pre- and post-game shows for NBA TV in Indiana. What's the future hold for NBA coverage for you and your colleagues at TNT going into next year's media deals?
Listen, it's been so great how everyone has handled what happened at Game 6 inside the NBA. Deserves all of the love in the world. It is the gold standard for sports television. They're obviously going to live on with the deal that TNT Sports made with ESPN. It's the game broadcasts and all those people behind the scenes. Listen, one of the cool things that Inside the NBA and that crew did was made sure they took care of their behind the scenes people. There's so many people that are going to keep their jobs in Atlanta because the show's going to stay in the same studio. It's going to be produced by the same people. It's the game coverage. Those people are looking elsewhere. Because there will be no more NBA games on TNT. But TNT Sports has so many good things going on with college football, college basketball, obviously having the Stanley Cup Finals right now, Major League Baseball coverage, and so much more. The French Open, Roland Garros is on right now. But there are so many other exciting opportunities. And I think I'm really excited to see what the future holds with all of these new NBA partners. Because like I said, the NBA is in great shape with all of these young stars. And I think these new media partners are going to do an unbelievable job of covering the NBA for a decade or more.
And that last NBA game on TNT, the highest rated of all the playoffs.
Exactly.
So good little cherry on top.
Yes, exciting times for the league as we head into Game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight. And Jared, we thank you so much for jumping on the show to weigh in. Coming up next on Front Office Sports today, we're going to shift from the hardwood to the pitch. We're talking FIFA World Cup right after this break. Welcome back to Front Office Sports today. Now, FIFA has tens of thousands of unsold seats ahead of the home opener for Inter Miami in the Club World Cup, and prices have also dropped dramatically. Well, we had soccer commentator Susannah Collins to talk about the MLS involvement in the tournament. Let's take a look. An incredible expert on all things going on in this soccer summer that we have, Susannah Collins, joining us here on the show. Susannah, so nice to have you here with us today.
Great to be with both of you. I love this show. I love what you guys are doing.
Oh, thank
you. Thank you. And I love that we have a chance to talk soccer because there's a lot on the slate coming up. Obviously, looking at the Club World Cup, we'll start there because of recent protests, and it's been a buzzy topic to discuss. With the Club World Cup having 3 MLS teams in it, we saw the Seattle Sounders this past weekend with their shirts with the phrases Club World Cash Grab and Fair Share Now because of the CBA limiting if they were to win the Club World Cup, for those that don't know, with that possible as many as $125 million they can win, they wouldn't see all of it. They can only get a max $1 million per player. What are your thoughts on just how the MLS can balance the Club World Cup as an opportunity to grow the team's exposure, but also give them their fair share of pay?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, we saw the very clear protest over the weekend from the Seattle Sounders players. And, you know, when you look at the numbers, they're absolutely entitled to feel like there's a gross injustice here when it comes to the amount of money. Like you said, it's basically capped at $1 million. Each MLS team that is participating in the Club World Cup is getting almost $9.5 million. So when you look at the disparity, and then you get more the farther you advance in the competition. So when they look at this, and if a MLS team was to go on a significant run, that's a lot of money. And so there's a lot of pressure right now, especially on the Players Association to kind of unify and force MLS's hand to make this right. Now, there have been outreach, but MLS has kind of put off those negotiations. I think that it's one of these things where the players are really, really going to have to galvanize and find a clear path forward and open these talks, open dialogue conversations with the league. Because when all those feelings of just feeling like you are not getting what you deserve, that is going to affect the product on the field. And this is a big competition. You know, FIFA is really putting a ton into this in anticipation for the World Cup next year in 2026. So they want to see good products on the field. And if teams are, you know, in this sort of bad situation where there are bad feelings, the product on the field is going to be affected. And so the league and the players, they somehow need to find a way, and this is going to be on the Players Association, to come together and really, really fight for what they feel like they deserve.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about this FIFA, Club World Cup, because this is sort of a new thing for a lot of us. You mentioned it's ahead of the World Cup. It's happening here in the same country as where the World Cup's going to be happening next year as well. But what are sort of your expectations here for this new tournament? Do you think this is going to be incredibly successful and get a lot of attention for the World Cup in a year from now?
I mean, that is certainly the hope, right? And that is certainly FIFA's hope for them. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how this plays out over the next month, because as we know, the European season just ended, okay? These players have played a ton of matches. They are tired. This is typically the time of year when they go on vacation, they go on holiday, they give their bodies and their minds time to kind of recover from what was a really grueling 8 or 9 months of playing soccer. So there is a problem here with how clubs are going to approach this. Certainly, there is going to be a huge amount of pressure on these clubs to showcase their stars, their big names, because that is what ultimately is going to put butts in seats and garner that kind of excitement that they're hoping for as we look ahead to next summer in 2026. But a lot of clubs, are they going to be willing to do that? Are they going to be willing to sort of put at risk or injury risk their top stars, because they're already thinking of next season? And schedule congestion is something that we have been talking about in the soccer world for the last probably 3 seasons. I mean, there are so many more competitions. There are so many more matches. Guys need recovery time. And so I think it's going to be really interesting. I think you are going to see certain clubs, really go for it, really put out a strong starting 11s every match. But it's also going to be interesting to see how some other clubs maybe utilize this opportunity to get some of the younger players and the youth's more significant playing time on big stages. But what you hope is that, it's still compelling enough for people to come, for people to buy tickets, and then ultimately, as we keep talking about, get pumped for World Cup next year.
Yeah, the Club World Cup kicking off June 14th with that $1 billion prize pool, 32 teams, 3 of them being MLS teams competing for that. Should be exciting to watch, but also the exciting TST 2025, and it's going to be another opportunity in this 7v7 tournament where there's also an opportunity for a $1 million winner-take-all prize. Susannah, what are your thoughts on how, as we look into another year of the soccer tournament, it allows entertainment, soccer, financial, just the overlap of all these opportunities for those competing?
It's so much fun. I mean, this is one of those like moments. They literally call it Coachella for soccer because it's become this spectacle, right? It's like there's obviously all the matches happening all the time, but then there's music events and there's food and there's family events. And so it's really kind of become this big like soccer circus, if you will. And it's amazing because what I love so much about this tournament is that it's for anybody. You know, like you've got players like Nani and Sergio Aguero putting together teams, but then you've got these dudes from like Newtown, Connecticut that won it 2 years ago, and the guys from Delaware, Bombonero, who won it last year.
Pat McAfee.
Just putting together these teams, and they're old friends and maybe college teammates. And so I love that you can see this just sort of vast array of quality, and it makes it so much fun. You know, like just Steve Nash playing a couple years ago. It's wild. It's kind of become this like who's who of the soccer world all congregate in Cary, North Carolina for a few days. And it's just so much fun. And even like the structure, the way that they play, the target score time where, you know, every match has to be won by a game-winning goal. It's just a sensational product. And I love what it's doing for soccer because I think it's such a fun, digestible way for even people who might not be, you know, super soccer fans right now. It's entertaining as heck.
It's truly the never-ending season, soccer.
It is. The slate is set. Another exciting summer of soccer for us. Susannah, thank you so much for jumping on the show to weigh in on all the excitement that people can look forward to.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. We've got more coming up after this break here on FOS Today. Stay tuned for more. Welcome back to Front Office Sports Today. Baker and Renee here, and there are some big questions, guys, coming out around Major League Baseball. One, is the league going to have a media deal done before the All-Star Game July 15th? So with that, let's welcome in our FOS reporter, Eric Fisher, to talk about it more because, Eric, Commissioner Rob Manfred has said he's hopeful that they will have a deal, but he has admitted in hindsight he wishes they weren't even in this position, but they do allegedly have 3 possible offers. What do you know is the latest around this media deal?
Yeah, we're getting a little closer. This is the reselling of the rights that ESPN is walking away for the 2026, 27, and 28 seasons. And we already know 2 of the 3. NBC has put forward a bid that could include Sunday night coverage that would mirror what they're doing with the NFL and are about to start with the NBA. Apple TV Plus is interested in expanding what they have with baseball on Friday nights, and we have an unnamed third bidder. But again, this would be sort of a bridge situation to 2028 when the league's national deals all come up for renewal, and the league wants to do a grand reconstruction of the entire media rights, both local and national. But a lot's going to happen in the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to get this done just in the few weeks. Eric, the other thing that the commissioner mentioned, which I think is going to be really big for next year, is that he's going to basically go to the competition committee and talk about implementing the automated ball and strike system, essentially Robo Umps for next year. Tell us a little bit about how this would work, and this really wouldn't be replacing umpires at the end of the day, would it?
No, not at all. This would be a challenge system. And if you remember back during spring training, we had a test of this. And when a batter wanted to challenge a ball strike call at the plate, he would tap his head and immediately they would go to the tape. And there was a general receptiveness to this technology. It is a change. It is a different step, but most players seem to like it, and I think we're sort of working around the details here. It's really just a matter of getting the fine tune of all the mechanics really worked out. And when I was at the owners' meetings yesterday, the commissioner really spoke about getting the players comfortable with this. And that's really just, again, getting into the weeds and making sure all of those final details are really worked out. But it's just a matter of sort of when and exactly how, but it is coming.
Well, Eric, I know you were there at the owners' meetings, and Manfred spoke about a lot of issues: Tampa Bay Stadium, the reinstatement of Pete Rose, the Olympics in 2028. What also jumped out at you as one of the more pressing or even maybe surprising points that Rob Manfred had?
Just how much the Rays situation has become a quagmire. I asked him directly about that, and they're going to try to get back into Tropicana Field next year. The hurricane restoration work is ongoing. They got to get through another hurricane season this summer. He spoke directly about not knowing what's going to happen there, and obviously nobody does. And they were going to play out their lease through 2028. But after that, who knows? And there are calls for Stu Sternberg to sell the team. Usually when we've raised this issue before, the commissioners had a much more direct, we believe in the Tampa market, we believe in Stu Sternberg, we're there to stay. I didn't get any of that vibe this time. And so what happens in a few years with this franchise, it's anybody's guess at this point.
Wow, really
Very interesting. Well, you did a fantastic job outlining all the different issues that Rob Manfred spoke about in our front office sports piece that people can check out online. And we thank you so much, Eric, for jumping in and sharing the insight around what's going on with the future of baseball.
Sure.
All right, let's switch back into the NBA Finals around the future of a signature shoe and see what's bubbling over at the FOS water cooler. Now, ahead of the first game of the NBA Finals, Tyrese Haliburton has dropped a sneak peek of his very first signature shoe, the Hali one, which is set to release in September, and the hibiscus shoe. He's going to be rocking it in the NBA Finals, and it's interesting because it's got this low cut silhouette. He's got his logo on the tongue of it, and Puma and Tyrese Haliburton get to share this new shoe right ahead of the NBA Finals. Great timing.
I mean, yes, this is great promotion for him. On the tongue of the sneaker, you see his logo, which is obviously big for him. I'm not the biggest fan of the hibiscus color, and I don't know how it's going to sort of mesh with the yellow of the Pacers jerseys, but these will be available for everybody to purchase in September on Puma's website and in select Puma stores. And he actually did this in partnership with Soleil Bembry, who has done a ton of collabs in terms of sneaker collabs with other people. LaMelo Ball also has his own deal with Puma as well. They're really trying to get back in with basketball players. So I think it's fine. I want to see other Tyrese Haliburton shoes.
I know Bembry said they recruited Haliburton with Puma because he is him, but I also wonder what would have happened if they didn't make it to the finals. When would the shoe have dropped? Yes. We don't know, but we do know tomorrow we've got former NFL player Brandon Copeland joining us on Front Office Sports Today, talking about his work with college athletes and in the NIL space. So make sure you guys are ready to tune into that, and we appreciate you for hanging with us today here on FOS Today. Have a good rest of your Thursday. We'll see you one more time to close out the week here for more. Bye, guys.